Hello and thank you for coming to watch this video. Recently, as a response to one of my videos, I had a comment that expressed frustration and asked the question, where was God at the time of the Holocaust? And went on to express just how frustrated this person feels about the whole concept of God and so on. And I wanted to reply to that because I know it's a question that comes up quite often. Where is God when there are difficulties? But I would like to say that then we need to answer two questions. And if you're going to watch this video, I would urge that you listen to the response to both of these questions. One was, where was God? And the other question would be, where wasn't God? And both of these questions, I say, are extremely important for understanding why the Holocaust occurred and just why it is important that we see it from both sides. In response to where was God in that situation, I think a little known fact about that period in history is the fact that not only Jews died in the concentration camps, and in fact, according to the website for the Auschwitz and Birkenau Museum, their death books, as they were called, indicate that, first of all, they say only about 400,000 people were killed, which seems a lot lower than the figures that we're usually told. Nevertheless, in these death books, they record that of these 400,000, there were 5 Muslims, 2 Buddhists, 2 Hussites, 295 Czech Moravians, at least 387 Jehovah's Witnesses, 5,500 Greek Catholics, 9,700 that are listed simply as other, which I take it they didn't record their religion or they professed no religion, 11,600 Protestants, 12,300 Eastern Orthodox, and 165,000 Roman Catholics. And so I would say God was in the voice of these people who obviously wouldn't have been friends of the regime at that time. If they had been friends, they certainly wouldn't have been sent to the concentration camps, and these were the ones who actually put to death these numbers. And they must have spoken up and evoked the response that as Christians we get all too often, oh no, you Christians again. As I said, the equally important question is, where wasn't God at the time of the Holocaust? And we can certainly say God wasn't in the hearts of those who led the Nazi Party and the Third Reich. And I think very few people would disagree with the fact that they certainly didn't use Christ's teaching of love one another as their guiding light in the decisions and the rules that they made and the laws that they passed. But we also have to say that God wasn't obviously in the hearts in the sense of leading the philosophy of the majority of the people in the country at the time, because otherwise that party would never have come to power, and so the Holocaust would never have happened. And so we see that the only place that we can say that God wasn't present is where he wasn't allowed access by the people involved. You see, God will not impose himself on you. He gives you free choice. And if you choose not to have him in your life, he will not impose himself on you. And that is essential, as I said in a previous video, for us as human beings, that we do have free choice. And we need to consider carefully how we make that free choice, because this whole event of the Holocaust should be a great warning to us. When we base our opinions and our views on things other than God's law first of loving one another, who knows where we can end up? Who would have guessed at that time that they would end up with that Holocaust. And as I say, it came about because God wasn't at the forefront of the discernment of not only the leaders of the party, but the majority of people in the country at the time that allowed that party to come to power and to wield the power that it did wield at that time. And so I would urge you in your life to consider what you base your beliefs and your views on, because it can lead, if you base it on the wrong guidance, to events like that. And may God bless you.